Hello everybody, I'm Dr. Aniruddha. I'm an internal medicine consultant practicing in Kolhapur, and today we are going to talk about how to prepare for IELTS the doctor's edition. So today we are going to discuss this video into different subparts. The first part would be why we need to take IELTS as doctors. Secondly, when do we need to apply? What are the desired band scores that you need to achieve? And finally, we would be coming to what resources that did I use that helped me get through the test. So why IELTS? Now, as we know, people who wish to work in the UK need to have a valid GMC registration. Now, GMC states that people who want to practice in the UK need to have an adequate relevant knowledge in English. GMC has defined set of parameters in which it prescribes you to give either of the two exams, either the IELTS or the occupational English test. So, when do you need to apply for IELTS? Now, people who want to apply through the PLAB route need to have their IELTS scores in hand before they apply for PLAB 1. For people who want to go through the MRCP or MRCS route, they can apply for IELTS and get their desired badge scores at any point of time when they are applying for their exams or before they apply for their GMC registration. So now what type of IELTS do I need to take? Now IELTS test has two subcategories. One is IELTS academic and one is general training. For your GMC registration, you will need to apply for IELTS academic test and not for the general training one. So what is the validity of your IELTS scores? As per IELTS, the validity of your scores is 2 years. So for GMC registration, you will need to have a valid score within 2 years of your date of application. If the delay between your test day and your day of application to the GMC is more than 2 years, then you will have to repeat the test. So now we come to the second most important part of this video. What are the desired band scores that you need to achieve for GMC registration? Now GMC says that you need to have an overall band score of at least 7.5 and an individual band score of at least 7 in each of its four parts, that is listening, reading, writing and speaking. Anything below that and you will have to repeat your test. So now we come to the most important part of the test. What are the resources that I've used that helped me get through the test? Now, for the purpose of organization, we will be dividing this section into subparts. We will be dividing it into three subparts. The first part would deal with reading and listening. The second part would deal with speaking. And ultimately, we would come to the most important part, that is writing, the reason why I had to repeat my IELTS test. Now, reading and listening. Now, from the data that I have gathered from my colleagues who attempted IELTS, what I have come to know is that people usually do not face problems in reading and listening. Doctors usually do not face problems mainly because I think it is the long lectures that we hear during our MBBS and MD years, and secondly, reading huge books that help us get a good grasp of English reading. So for listening and reading, what I would suggest is you should stick to the basics. For what I mean by basics is just get a Cambridge Student Science book and practice 4 to 8 tests, and that should be enough for everybody. Okay, now coming to speaking, what I did was I used to view mock IELTS speaking tests on YouTube. The channels which I subscribe to, and disclaimer, this is not an endorsement, the channels which I usually subscribe to for these kind of mock tests and the material reading to speaking were Keith's English Speaking Success, E2 IELTS or E2 language, and thirdly, for the topics that are asked in speaking test, I viewed IELTS videos. Now, the method that I followed was something that helped me achieve the level of fluency and prevent stumbling during my IELTS exam. So what I did was, first of all, I would view the entire video without stopping, and then the second time I would repeat the video of the mock test. But this time what I would do was I would stop the video and pause it where the question ended, and then I would sit in front of the mirror and say out my answers loud. This helped me get rid of two things. Firstly, the grammatical inaccuracies that I committed during my speaking, and secondly, stumbling and word finding that usually IELTS examiners tend to catch. So this is not something which I am claiming to be a foolproof method, but this is one method which certainly helped me to achieve my desired band score. You can also try this out and see if it works. Now we come to the most important part of the video and the reason why I had to repeat my IELTS test. That is, we are going to discuss about writing. Now, writing in IELTS academic consists of two parts. The first part is task 1, which consists of describing a graph or a diagram, and task 2, which is an opinionated or non-opinionated essay. Now, writing is not new to doctors, and we are accustomed to writing long answers in our exams. But in spite of this, people do struggle with writing, and this is the subsection where most people tend to fail. Now, discussion about task 1 and task 2. Task 1 carries one third of the marks weightage, while task 2 carries two thirds of the total score. Now, let's discuss about the three main resources that I used which helped me get my desired band scores. The first one that I would say is IELTS Liz. Second one is a paid course by IELTS Ninja. Again, a disclaimer, this is not an endorsement. And third one is writing9.com. Now we will be going in detail as to why I used each of these resources. But before we dive into each of these resources, I would like to point out the two main reasons which I feel are the factors responsible for people not getting their desired band scores. First one is not being able to stick to the desired format, and second one is committing grammatical, punctuation, or spelling related errors. So these are the two most important things that you need to consider and you need to have in your mind so that you can avoid them while writing your essays. Now we'll dive into each of these resources. First one is IELTS Liz. So basically, why I used IELTS Liz was her website is loaded with a lot of topics that you can use as practice essays. Secondly, she has a plethora of different essays written as model essays, and those are the essays which can help you stick to the format and you can get yourself acquainted with the format as well. Secondly, IELTS Ninja. Now, this was something which I had not subscribed to when I wrote my first IELTS test, but after writing my first IELTS test, what I came to know was I was lacking in sticking to the format. So, for this, I needed some mentor who can guide me as to what the exact format is so that I can fit in those given IELTS band descriptors. So, I had joined IELTS Ninja. They had a beautiful ebook which helped me get acquainted with the proper format, and that is how I could write good essays. Now, coming to the third and the most important resource I feel, which is writing9.com. So, this website is basically a meticulously designed artificial intelligence software which analyzes your essays based on their defined parameters. So what this site does is IELTS apparently has the set of parameters where you need to have at least 7 sentence connectors, less than 3 times repeat words, and 0 grammatical and spelling errors. So what this software does is it analyzes these small mistakes that you tend to make. So what I had observed was, in spite of sticking to the format, I was not able to increase my score beyond 6 or 6.5. So when I subscribed to this software, it is a paid service costing about 1,000 to 1,500 bucks, and I think it is really worth the money. What I observed was I was committing these minute errors which could be easily missed by a human or a human teacher. So, this software helped me pinpoint these errors. It is like getting to that pinpoint diagnosis, and it is wonderful. So, this is something that it really helped me increase my score from 6.5 to 7, and that is something which helped me prevent a third attempt at this IELTS test. So, summarizing the entire video, you need to take IELTS to get yourself registered into the GNC. For PLAB goers, you have to take it before you give your PLAB 1. For people attempting MRCP and MRCS, you can give it any time before you apply for the GNC registration. You will need to take the academic version of your IELTS. Now, your IELTS scores will be valid for 2 years from the date of taking the test. The band scores that you must achieve are 7.5 overall and at least 7 in listening, reading, writing, and speaking. And finally, going over the resources again. For reading and listening, just refer to Cambridge IELTS Student Book. For speaking, refer to the YouTube channels and YouTube videos. And for speaking, I would suggest look at IELTS List, subscribe to writing9.com, and subscribing to IELTS Nature is SOS. I leave the decision up to you. I hope this video was helpful, and I request you to post your IELTS score and tell me if this video was helpful in getting you through your exams. Thank you and bye bye.